Hey, I want to talk about the Fresno State Cincinnati game because I stayed up all night handicapping it, and it's what I want to talk about. I don't know where I'm going with the game. I like Cincinnati +3, but now it's -2.5, so you got to grab the -120 to take it. The total is 58, and I kind of think it's a little high. But it's so early in the year, you don't know exactly what Cincy's going to bring on defense. And in all honesty, Fresno State was the worst team at sacking their quarterback last year. So God knows what they're going to do this year. So we're going to leave the total alone, even though I think the game will end 49, 48, 50, somewhere around there. 48 seems much more sensible. But I'm going to tell you a lot of reasons why I'm confused by the game so that you can at least hear what I'm thinking, okay? That's really all I want to do. The first thing I want to stress for Fresno State is they had a 270-pound fullback last year. He was just like Lorenzo Neal, I pretty much think. He's 5'11", 270, though. And they had Ryan Matthews. Both of those guys are gone. And the way I hear it, that fullback last year was smashing the second level on that Cincinnati 3-4. And you know how, I think you guys know how good that Fresno State offensive line is. And if you don't, that offensive line is one of the better offensive lines on the West Coast. It is just as good as any Pac-10 offensive line. And they will probably tear into that Cincy defense again. That being said, no Ryan Matthews. No 5'11", 270-pound bowling ball. But yeah, you got that offensive line and a blocking tight end. So the big situation we have here is we know that the backup running backs are not going to be as good as Ryan. But I know the fullback is a converted linebacker who would give them trouble on passes, but they're not going to throw to him at all. He's going to be a primary blocking guy. He weighs 50 pounds less than the last guy that graduated. So I think you devalue Fresno State slightly on what they can do against this Cincinnati defense. And I'm going to tell you why I think, sort of, that Cincy should be able to scramble up that line a little bit from their defensive front four. Because I don't know if you guys know this, they shifted to a four-man front from a 3-4 defense last year, and that 3-4 defense was terrible. They didn't really have the right people in the right places, and when you have a 3-4, you've got to have the right personnel. You have to have cornerbacks that can sit on an island. You got to have a nose tackle that weighs 330 pounds, and you got to have two ends that are big and strong, just 300 pounds. Then you got to have those big lanky linebackers lining up on the edge. So anyway, since he didn't have what it took, and they got drilled, they were horrible against the run. So it doesn't surprise anybody that Fresno owned them in that game last year. That being said, now they've moved to a four-man front, and the new head coach is a defensive-minded coach, and they've implemented a four-man front, and that's going to fill the gaps a little more. It's going to make that fullback less effective when he wants to put a hat on a linebacker. So it's going to be a little different. It's not going to be as easy for Fresno to have 16-play drives like they had at the end of the second quarter, where they ran the ball 11 times. They're not going to be able to chew the clock up for 9 minutes in the fourth quarter. We'll get to that because they chewed the clock up last year for 9 minutes in the fourth quarter. They were down 11 points. That's another point about the under. Pat Hill will run the ball no matter what. The perfect way to show that is, and I just said it, that fourth quarter last year against Cincinnati, they were down 17-28. And they ran the ball 10 out of 17 times. So 10 of their last 17 possessions, they ran the ball. It's crazy when you're down 11. But he stayed in his robotic stance, and he knew that's where he was going to get all his yards. So he ran the ball, even when he's down 11. Chewed up 9 minutes in the fourth. What's he going to do if the game is tied? I mean, he's just going to continue to grind and grind and grind. So when I sit there and talk about the under, I oftentimes think about Pat Hill and what he's just going to always do, and that's what he's going to do, run the clock, run the ball. Now, I've told you there's a four-man front now and not a weak 3-4. But I got to tell you, that four-man front for Cincinnati is shallow. It's very shallow. They've got, on the strong side, it depends on what you want to call the strong side with Fresno. They got their tight end that can line up anywhere, and they've got a left-handed quarterback. They do like to run off of the left guard and left tackle. So we don't know what strong side is half the time with these guys. But strong side on the left of that line, the left defensive end for Cincinnati is 5'10", 266. He's a converted 3-4 linebacker, basically. He was recruited for that, I'm almost certain. On the other end position, you've got a guy that's 246 pounds. Then you got two good, strong tackles. Beyond those four guys, everything's up in the air, and depth is a concern, experience is a concern. And again, let me stress, on both ends, man, you got totally small fellas. 5'10" is going up against 6'7". That's what's going to happen when Cincy lines up on their left side of their defense, going up against that right tackle of Fresno State, who is 6'7", 305. I don't know what the hell a 5'10", 266 bowling ball is going to do against that monster, but I can pretty much tell you he's going to be caved in. That end is going to be sealed all the time. Fresno State should run right, even though they got the lefty quarterback. Run right, send a fullback over there, line the tight end if you want up there, because the tight end's bigger than that end. There is a command situation for Fresno State against that four-man front of Cincy, and it's not. When I say that Fresno State's not going to be able to have their 16-play drives or chew up 9 minutes out of the clock, it won't be 16-play drives and it won't be 9 minutes in the fourth quarter, but it'll still be drives that are founded on the run. It'll be drives that are founded on wearing down that front four of Cincinnati. So, in all honesty, Cincinnati's going to just have to outscore Fresno State. So I sit there and tell you that 58's too high, but it's not too high if Cincy and Fresno State start just grinding up both defenses, because both defenses are just not going to be superstars, and I don't care what anybody says. Cincinnati is going to get their points. Cincinnati is going to score. They're not going to score 21 points in 6 minutes like they did last year. They're just not going to. No, I don't know how you can repeat that. They scored 21 points in 6 minutes. Each drive was like 2 minutes, 2 minutes and 50 seconds, something like that. I have no idea how that's going to work again. But, that's the 119th ranked sack defense last year. And it's probably going to be not much better this year. And so I'm pretty much expecting Cincinnati to score when they want to score, but not as fast. I also expect Fresno State to run wherever they want to run, and it's going to get uglier and uglier as the game goes on. Just like last year, again, 9 minutes of the 14 minutes in the fourth quarter, Fresno just held the ball. They were down 11. So I guess I want to tell you to take Cincinnati +3, and you're going to have to buy minus 120 probably, but I don't know. Maybe that line will bounce back up to 3. All in all, I'm just testing out my video camera, and I wanted you guys to see me, or meet me at least, and we could definitely talk about this Cincinnati-Fresno State game, because there's a ton of stuff to talk about, like the foolishness about the weather, the heat. It was 111 degrees in Fresno, and they were practicing the other day, and they were talking about how Cincinnati is not used to that, and they're acting like Cincinnati is in Canada, when I think we're talking about humidity, and the relative humidity in Cincinnati is much more brutal than it is in the Valley. Now, I have never lived in the Valley, and I don't know much. I think D-Fresh and all those guys would know exactly what the weather's like, and I hope they mention it. But I think the relative humidity in the Valley is like 35%. Relative humidity in Cincinnati is 70, 80%. And the heat index is 100 in Cincy. It's hot. They're on the river. So dispel all the shit about the weather, the heat, and how Cincinnati's going to wither up there. They're not. It'll be 85 degrees at 7 or 8 o'clock at night. It isn't going to be 111. It'll be hot. No hotter than it is in Cincinnati. God, I know I'm forgetting a ton of things. But like I said, we can talk about it in a thread, for sure. Yeah, I think I got it. I don't know. But anyway, really, honestly, this is who I am. I'm a very erratic, mindless fellow sometimes. So if you see videos from me, they're going to be probably like this. They're going to be rambling. They're going to be cyclical. But all in all, and I think I'm just setting the plate for a thread here that we can talk about the Cincinnati game. Because Cincinnati +3, I know why it's +3. And but I have a feeling that Cincinnati can cover that 3 without a doubt. Okay, guys, I'll pop this into a thread and you can make fun of me. All right, see ya.